how kind were we to replace what would have been just one best of 5 and about 40 minutes of StarCraft content with 38 hours of content. That's
pretty nice of us.
It was nice of us. So over here,
I agree.
Top right-hand corner of Antiga Shipyard, we have our pink Protoss player, representative ESC, winner of the first marathon game. It is Jaxx. Throwing out the LOL Gold Expo Ruffle. They must be using the IPL3 version of the map. We have since changed the... Oh, I guess actually for the qualifiers it may have been the same. I don't know. Show says it's Mule time, though.
Yeah.
He is spawning as our red Terran player down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Representative of Team Dignitas. You mentioned a very good decision maker. Historically, a very late scouter.
Yeah.
There you go.
Planetary into GG. Anyway, so let's ignore the chat. All right. Let's just ignore these people, right? Jaxx can't complain. He just won with 36 gateways.
That's true.
He's going to send a probe across the map. He's going to see the Terran. He's going to be like, yeah, I beat someone that looked just like you, like an hour ago. Well, that's when the game started anyway, but I beat you a couple minutes ago.
What are you going to do about it?
Make some gateways.
That's true. In contrast to the previous Dignitas Terran player we saw, though, SjoW plays very, very slow. He's, as you can see, average 37 effective APM. We'll even take a look at the full spam APM. And just sitting at 61 for the match. Of course, spamming quite a bit, actually, right now. But that number will not rise very high as the match goes on.
And interestingly enough, SjoW, a player known for not scouting, actually, unless, well, in some of his matchups, this is like how he used to be. He doesn't play like this anymore, but for a long time, he like wouldn't scout in TVZ until he had his first Hellion out, just for the reason that, you know, he saw his build as not really being vulnerable to anything that could hit before that Hellion could come out and kind of give him information. So he's always had kind of a unique way to play the game, so I'm curious to see how he's going to handle this TVP.
And Jaxx actually decides to go Nexus first in reaction to the 1-Rax Gasless Fast expand. So SjoW, you know, not going to put on a ton of pressure or really be able to endanger that Nexus first, so Jaxx going to be able to pull that off. And he's kept his probe alive for quite a while now, so going to be able to continue to get good scouting time. And look, Jaxx actually doing something we've seen a few Terran players do recently.
Oh,
Forge,
I like it. Okay.
After the expansion.
Excellent. This is so cool that we get to see something like this, because this is something that a lot of Protoss players have been trying out lately. Recently, Artosis, in fact, wrote a blog about it, so I'd recommend you go read that.
Yeah.
Wherever it may be on the internet, I have no idea. I just stumbled across a link one day. But anyway, yeah, so you get the Forge, you get the Gateway. A lot of Protoss players have been using this to get a very fast +1 shields just because of the effectiveness that it gives to Zealots against these really early biocompositions. So I think we're going to see this a lot more. It's kind of a cool thing to, to watch. So let's watch this closely.
Probe finally goes down, and SjoW immediately double gasses afterwards. This is something that we've seen a lot of European Terran players do. They'll go for the 1-Rax Gasless FE into 2nd-Rax into double gas because it gives you a lot of flexibility for the mid-game. But yeah, Jaxx, on the other hand, that single photon cannon up at the front for now. It does have his first gateway finishing along with the Cybernetics Core. Afterwards, already has double gassed himself, so he'll be able to move into attack pretty quickly if he so desires.
Yeah, no, I've been seeing this with 2 cannons a lot of times, mostly, but it depends. I mean, since it's a relatively new way to do TVP, I mean, in terms of a lot of pros trying it out, it's always kind of been around, but lately it's become more popular. I could see the reason why. I mean, he got a good scout of the base. He knows that there's not going to be a lot of early aggression coming, so yeah, he could probably get by on 1 cannon. But I'm sure we're going to see this refined quite a bit more in the coming months, you know, when you need 1 cannon, when you need 2 cannons, all that kind of good stuff.
SjoW, of course, has not scouted his opponent. And,
nope.
Not at all. Hasn't even left. The farthest vision he's seen in this game is what his bunker currently sees towards the bottom of the ramp. So playing in the dark at the moment. We'll see if he uses one of those scans around the 630 mark.
You know, I actually lived with SjoW for a short time in Korea at the Dome House, and I asked him, one of the first things I asked him was, why don't you scout? And that's, you know, the answer he gave me was, well, I just don't feel like I need to know what my opponent is doing until, you know, X point in this matchup. And so, yeah, he's just where a lot of players would be like, I need to look at their gas. I need to look at when they're timing everything. SjoW's just like, let's find out. Find out later. I'm pretty confident in my defensive abilities early in the game. So, yeah, definitely a very different player, a unique player to watch.
And he's playing a pretty standard style now. He's on 3 racks. Yeah. He's adding an engineering bay, prioritizing combat shields as well. Interesting to note, whereas Jaxx, this is almost a throwback to the past, where not the Nexus first version of this, but he's got a Forge for defense. He's getting +1 armor first. It makes those Zealots very resilient against unupgraded Marines, especially with that, with any Guardian shield that comes out of the sentries.
Yeah. I like SjoW's decision to go for combat shields first. I feel like since they nerfed Stim, it's been the better answer just because it does come a little bit quicker. And there are usually a few, little early game tussles between Terran and Protoss and on most maps. So the combat shields is going to benefit you a lot sooner than Stim does, unless you're really, really planning on making a push that needs Stim. So yeah, I like combat shields. Overall, I generally always get combat shields first in TVP.
3 gateways and robotics facility up now for Jaxx as he's adding on a Twilight Council as well. Let's see, +1 armor did finish up, and not investing in +1 weapons. Looks like he is going to wait for +2 armor. SjoW, on the other hand, +1 weapons are on the way. Everything looking pretty darn standard out of him. Adding on his factory a little bit later, decided to prioritize upgrades first of all. Got the combat shields +1 started. Now going into medevacs just a little bit later on, but what a defensive position out of SjoW.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, he's not going to need to worry about getting broken by Jaxx anytime soon at all. And okay, there we go. I was about to be surprised that I saw +1 weapons on the way, but there it is, +2 shields.
Yeah.
A lot of Protoss players, when I've been watching this build, have even gone up to +3 shields.
Yep.
Really quickly before getting any attack upgrades at all, and then just of course going very zealot heavy. In this case, it's blink. I've seen charge in the past too, but it looks like Jaxx is going to go for blink stalkers with this. Which is again kind of an interesting choice and a very quick third.
Yeah, Jaxx is playing a little bit more economically greedy than SjoW is. Decided to go Nexus first, going for that 9 minutes, actually about 8.5 minutes. I'll leave it that way. Third base, so this is kind of a cool style out of him. If he's able to just hold on for a little while, his infrastructure is going to be just overwhelmingly good.
Oh yeah, I mean, Jaxx is playing this about as turtley as you possibly can. That's what I get for trying to invent words. He's getting drop defense and blink. He's getting just straight up attack defense and plus armor. He's getting his observer out so he can look at his opponent. Yeah, Jaxx just does not want to attack at all. He just wants to kind of sit, play a very, very passive game, it would seem.
Yeah, and it looks like he's doing a good job of darting in and out of the gas here so that he could do a little bit of extra damage to the Marauders, but of course the Zealot will eventually die. So that base finished up. Now SjoW going to scout that pretty early on, and he himself has not started his third command center. May decide to do so now that this base, or that he has moved out, but there's already a Zealot waiting for that possibility.
I actually really like that Zealot there, just because so many Terrans will take their entire army and then just send the SCV to make the third behind this push. And obviously we know that that SCV is just destined for failure. He's not going to be able to ever build a command center unless he just decides to randomly stop in that location instead of actually go build it.
Yep, which well, that's actually happening for now.
Guess so.
But SjoW's moving up with his force. He's got a pretty strong army here, but of course the upgrades are already very good for Jaxx, starting that +3 armor as we were talking about before.
Oh, SjoW playing a bit passive, and it looks like he's just going to try to elevate her up onto the high ground here. And, ooh, if he's lucky, he could actually get that Robo Bay. That wouldn't be too bad at all.
All right, well, a few units being warped in now for Jaxx. A couple of units on the low ground to help support this, but Jaxx has been able to pick off one of those medevacs pretty well, gets some pretty good force fields down, allows the Zealots to engage. Now, unfortunately, they are a little bit trapped behind. SjoW actually doing some pretty good damage here, despite the fact that Jaxx reacted to this pretty quickly. Oh, SjoW got to watch out, though, trying to run through the front.
Yeah, and he might actually get that Robo. In fact, he will. Wow. Okay, so Jaxx, maybe could have responded to this a little bit better. That's going to slow him down tech-wise. Remember, he is playing very defensively, so it's not like he needs those robotics units for any sort of, timing, probably, but we'll see what happens. It looks like he's finally able to maybe push this back just a little bit, but there are reinforcements coming in, so SjoW's not done yet.
No, not at all. The Stalkers do ward off the front units up at the top. Of course, Jaxx has a pretty good defensive force over at the natural as well. Does sequester off a good number of those forces with the force fields. They were pretty good, but he didn't have enough Zealots to be able to close and engage quick enough. So, SjoW not taking as many losses as I think Jaxx would have liked, but Jaxx still does have enough to drive this force back.
Yep, and he might even get a couple medevacs here if he's lucky. Yeah, starting to focus down those medevacs as well. Much more important to kill off medevacs at this point than bio units. And that medevac has 2 hit points, but he's not going to get it.
Nope,
does get a lot.
Not.
That does help.
well. Looks like SjoW going to try and push his way up towards the third. Nice blink back there was necessary because the charge slots had to get up to the front. Once they do, though, SjoW going to find it very difficult to try and get anything else done. In fact, wow, these medevacs so low. Finally, both of them go down.
And how many medevacs does SjoW have right now? I think he's down to just 2. Yeah, he lost so many. I think he lost probably about 6 or 7 there in that engagement. That didn't turn out too well for SjoW. I mean, he is still fairly even on supply. He does have his third going. He is actually making a 4th command center as well, and he's got his tech going here. But yeah, it doesn't help to trade units like that.
Both these guys had
kind
of forgotten the macro for a little while there. I think SjoW was up to about 1,300 minerals, 1,000 gas. Jaxx was actually around 1,700 minerals and about the same gas level as well. So as you can see, Jaxx deciding to put down 5 gateways at the same time, along with the Templar Archives, Robo, and +1 weapons because, well, he had money to spend. And he's supply blocked. SjoW, on the other hand, decided to double produce command centers, reinvesting back into his upgrades for now, but he hasn't done much to touch his infrastructure in a while. All right, so let's see here now as third base is rolling for Jaxx. He's sitting on 67 workers to his opponent's 61, but of course with the mules that are on the ground, take a look at the income tab, and as soon as those mules all start hitting, yeah, his economy is going to go up.
Yeah, now what a lot of players struggle with in TVP is, you know, just like when exactly to attack. When it gets to the point where both armies are maxed out, both have good upgrades, you need to be just so careful. But, you know, you'll see a lot of players just be very hesitant. I think that's one of the reasons why we see TVPs becoming so passive in the late game, is because neither player is really quite sure yet when the best time to attack would be. I don't feel like the matchup is figured out enough to that point, you know, where players are like, oh, this happened, I go now. You know, it's not quite as clear-cut as it is in other matchups here. It looks like Jaxx wants to get aggressive here pretty soon, which wouldn't be a bad idea. Again, just very, very heavy on gateways.
Yep, not a lot of robo units. So in fact, SjoW, as he did scout the robotics facility, but nothing else, and is producing Vikings for now. But of course, those Vikings really aren't going to come in handy for quite a while.
Yep, that's right. In the meantime, Jaxx kind of playing the same way he did last game. And again, just being a little bit passive. I think he's going to try to blink up in the main. We'll see, but maybe not. Maybe it's just going to kind of chase these buildings.
Yeah, just getting a little bit of damage and then backing out of there. There's a good number of forces on the field for both of these guys. They are about tied in supply and only an 8-worker difference. With the upgrade advantage that Jaxx has, his army's a little bit stronger, but really nothing to write home about. It's going to come down to control largely.
Dear Mom, I made a lot of Marauders. My army was strong.
Aww. Thank you, son.
Greetings from Antiga Shipyard.
It is Mother's Day coming up as well, ladies and gentlemen, so make sure you write home to Mom. Does anyone actually do that anymore? Text your mom?
Email. Email or text or call even.
Yeah.
But we don't want to get too personal.
Call?
Right? That's
what?
We don't want this to be too close of an interaction.
Mom, if you're watching, I'm going to call you on Sunday. Okay. So let's see here. Oh, SjoW trying to get a couple of EMPs. Whiffs, though, totally. Doesn't even hit a single unit there, unfortunately.
He has broken down the back rocks, so he will be able to start harassing this third.
Yep.
And SjoW will this time be able to respond pretty quickly to that. But now SjoW has something that he kind of needs to worry about. He's going to need to be careful about when he moves out because he doesn't really want to lose a bunch of SCVs to run by, obviously. So, yeah, he's going to need to make sure that he's scouting in that area, make sure no forward pylons get put down.
Yeah, he's doing a pretty diligent job of cleaning those up for the time being. Oh, Jack's got to back out there, and he's getting pretty close to maxed as well. He's starting his 4th base, but of course his opponent is going to be sitting on that gold that he was complaining about at the beginning of the game. So we'll see here how Jaxx wants to follow this up. Of course, those Vikings are going to have some relevance now. 4 Vikings out, and we do have the first 2 Colossi on the way now.
Yeah, and again, we're seeing kind of a passive TVP. Neither one of these players really wanting to get involved in a big fight all that much. SjoW thinking he can maybe get in there and do some damage at the third.
And looks like he can see those rocks going down. Scan goes down, hopefully to pin some units in position. It looks like Jaxx was trying to go around the back, but at the same time, SjoW's just going to make his way through and decimate this Nexus. Will die very quickly. Pretty good control to keep those ghosts off to the side. He even landed a preemptive EMP to try and keep some of those units back into third. Does fall. Yeah, doing a good job of zoning out a lot of the Protoss units as well. This is one of those situations on this map where if you can gain that high ground at the third, you are just in a fantastic spot. You're moving downhill towards their army. You have the defender's advantage, quote unquote, and he might just decide to go home after this too. Could very well. We'll see here. Yeah, That's we'll see if Jaxx is able to catch this force off guard around the side. Hello, Templar!
Oh, nice storm. Wow.
Yeah, that actually was about as good as it could have gotten.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, so those medevacs are going to start running low on energy. If he could land another one of those, he would actually kill a lot of units. And it looks like he's just waiting for that perfect engagement now. The Templar are way in the back. I was looking for those.
Yeah, needs to make sure to keep those safe. I mean, not everybody can be like StarTale partying and have your Templars just like off doing other things and then show up in time to storm everything.
That is true. That's a useful knack in StarCraft.
Well, that's a knack actually that a lot of other Protoss players could learn from. Is have your Templar in a different hotkey. Move them somewhere where your army is not trying to flank with those storms. It's something so few so few Protoss players actually do.
Well, let's see here now, as SjoW is a pretty good defensive position, sitting on the Imba Gold, as Jack said at the beginning of the game. Looks like photon cannons were here to receive the small group of Marines that tried to make their way around the left-hand side, so no harm, no foul there. Both players are almost maxed. Jack's finally adding on his third base once again, and going up to a couple additional gateways. Just doing a nice job poking and doing a little bit of damage, but Doa?
Yep.
Got some impressive minerals stacked. We're at the 22-minute mark again.
Yeah.
We are in for some long TVPs tonight.
We might see another one of the exact same games. And, I mean, the thing is these guys are playing in a very serious situation. Obviously, we don't want to don't want to trivialize that. Oh, nice snipe on the High Templar. But at the same point, it's a bit slow. Oh, the Stalkers.
Yeah.
The Vikings.
Wow.
Oh, man, SjoW.
I really like that. I mean, SjoW just expected Jaxx to just jump back. Oh, you have Vikings there? I'm going to get back. That means the rest of your army's in tow. But no, he stands in and picks off a few of those Vikings. And trading Stalkers for Vikings right now is pretty good. It's going to allow those Colossi to do so much more damage.
Yeah, SjoW's trying to find where the army is so he can sneak up and kill off some Templar, maybe get some storms on the army as well. Shouldn't be too hard. It's not exactly a big map.
All right. Well, SjoW sitting on 4 bases, but not really utilizing that one. There we go. I was waiting for him to start transferring over some SCVs. We will be able to start taking advantage of that production. He does have a lot of resources banked at the moment, though, and has that all-important high ground, which he is really going to turtle on.
Yeah, he's even got bunkers and turrets. Yep. He's going to turn that into another base, apparently. And here comes Stim, and he should be able to take out the cannons this time. Templar does not have enough for Storm, it looks like. No,
unfortunately not. Only one of those Marines has gone down. Pulls a couple of units off the line. Unfortunately, he is maxed, so we need to free up supply to be able to defend this and start getting some units over there as well. Blink Stalkers are going to be what comes in to save the day.
Yep, nice little move by Jaxx, bringing those Stalkers up there to create a really nice little composition and push back this drop. Zealot Stalkers, exactly what you need for that.
Yep. And it looks like the last Zealot will eventually fall, but everything gets cleaned up for SjoW. Did some economic damage, though. It's going to require his opponent to shift a few additional probes that way. And just too impatient, building those warp gates in the remnants of the mineral line.
Yeah, why not? Minerals are out of the way. Good. Build warp gates. Hey, there's a Dark Shrine on the way as well.
Yep.
That could certainly help out a little bit.
All right, well, he's really going to need to pay attention to protect against this, and throws down one force field, but unfortunately everything is still able to attack those Zealots. These fragile Stalkers aren't going to last that much longer either.
Yep, that's right. They're not even going to stay and fight. Good call there. Looks like Jaxx actually is just going to give this base up. He already lost a lot of the probes there anyway, so it's not like he was doing a ton of mining.
Yeah. And he does pick off the Observer. SjoW picks off the Observer, I should say. And he's going to get this base at the same time to give his Ghosts a little bit more mobility.
Yep.
Around the bottom of the map. It's like SjoW going to patrol back and forth, check for any hidden bases. But now Jaxx, he's out of mining there, out of mining there. Just one base mining for the time being. SjoW working off of 2 bases and could float one of those command centers over. Actually has another couple ready to go just in case.
Yeah. And so we're just kind of seeing that extreme late-game Terran versus Protoss again, where both players understand the matchup. They're like, all right, we know it's going to come down to this very late-game situation, so we want to be in the best possible position to do that. And wow, look at that defensive perimeter by SjoW. That is not something that Jaxx is going to be able to, or going to want to run into at any time in this game.
No, not at all. And SjoW, even with some of these bunkers out there, is going to be able to keep vision pretty well. As we can see, it's going to fall here, but it will let SjoW know. Yeah, wait, I was thinking about moving out there. No, not going to happen anymore.
Yep. Here we go. So yeah, Jaxx knowing that he needs to kind of just come around the outside and just poke a little bit, harass. Blink gives him the ability to do this and get away in time, so that's good.
Yep.
And Does get the EMP on those Stalkers and not blinking away, actually taking some damage on these Stalkers. Whoa.
Yeah, once again, just trying to knock out a couple of those Vikings, but that one not as successful as his previous attempt was. So, again, guys, if you are just tuning in, this is game 2 of a best of 9 for 1. We are doing a semifinal of Team Arena Challenge qualifier number 4. And trying to pick off some ghosts there. One of those gets pretty low, but is not going to go down, at least for now. Of course, Yield Map Tournament is postponed until tomorrow. Both the matches had difficulties in scheduling for technical issues, so we are going to delay that to tomorrow. And we do have a best of 9 tonight to see who gets into Team Arena Challenge 3.
Oh, look at this Show racing to the third base. He knows that his opponent's army is out of position here, so this could either turn to a situation where Jaxx comes back and try to defend, or a base trade.
All right. Ut. Well, Ut means the Nexus is going to fall, and these SCVs are tearing after the High Templar.
Oh, man. SCVs versus Templar. Who wins? 200 versus 200.
Well, the SCVs are quicker. Third base goes down once again.
They might kill a Templar.
This is ridiculous. I want to see this happen.
Colossus comes to the rescue, of course.
Yeah. As always. At the same time, some Zealots are making their way into the gold. The Stalkers had to blink back, though, away from the main army, and Jaxx needs a couple additional units, and he is going to need some new bases stat.
Yeah, Jaxx is pretty far behind at this. He has, like, no mining going on right now. Look at the income. He's, like, barely getting anything at all from his natural expansion.
Yeah.
Can we see the income tab? There we go. All right, just 20 minerals. It's not a whole lot. No. Show doesn't have a lot of income either, but
it's slightly better than 20 minerals a minute.
That's right. It's not bad.
All right. Well, Show sitting on better economy overall than his opponents, and he's going back towards that gold right now. Looks like Jaxx wants to go for it, but he eats some huge EMPs. Where are the storms? Looks like the Templar are slow and coming up a little bit. These Vikings have been able to dispatch the Colossi very, very quickly. Storm's more of his own units than anything else, and it looks like Show doing a pretty well. Actually, that last storm ended up catching quite a few units, but still, Show coming out in a pretty good position in that engagement.
Did an okay job zoning out the Terran army, that is for sure here. And he does have another base mining, so Jaxx in real trouble for a moment, but it looks like he's on his way to sort of stabilizing this game. And Show does need to be very careful. His base is very vulnerable here.
All right, well, there's just 2 storms with this army. In fact, may not even just be 2.
Oh, nice EMP on those Templar.
Yeah, EMP catches a few units there, but here comes the rest of Show's army. It looks like he's going to try and get a little bit of positioning there, but the storms from Jaxx, once again, pretty good at zoning out that army.
And at this point, both players just trying to kind of maneuver around, get the best angle to attack from. Jaxx knows that suddenly he has the advantage in this game, and all he needs to do is just not die.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know,
well, he has the economic advantage. We'll say it that way. How about that?
Show has a ton of banked resources, though, and you know, hopefully he'll be able to take advantage of those. There we go, finally producing 20 units at a time at about a 50 supply advantage, but of course he'll need those in his army. He's already got quite a few ghosts, but he's moving up the Thorzane levels of ghosts now. 12 on the field, 5 more on the way.
Well, you know, Thorzane and Show are pretty good friends, and they do practice together quite often, as far as I know, so it wouldn't be surprising at all that Thorzane was sharing a few things with players. Yep, absolutely.
All right, well, Jaxx starting to recover the energy on that Templar quite a bit. We are once again past the 30-minute mark in a TVP here, guys, so this is game 2 of a best of 9, so we could be going quite a long time tonight, maybe into the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see. Who knows? The rest of the games could be 6 pools. 180 supply to just 100, so Jaxx, despite having the only mining base for a while, is down on supply. Trying to even it out with storms, but I don't know if this is going to work.
Wow, those ghosts even walking through those, but they're able to EMP before the storms hit. There, finally, a big storm hits and takes out 4 Templar, but I'm sorry, 4 ghosts, but the ghosts are still kind of pushing in and eliminating those Templar one by one. So,
and at this point, all Show needs to do is just really kind of push in. He's got this game won now. Nice effort by Jaxx, but it looks like dignitas.SjoW is going to tie things up in this game. GG.
WPO.
There it is.